I know how David felt. I know how he felt. His life was a mess from this point forward. It wasn't easy. But man, he knew something about God that he didn't know before. He knew something about grace that he didn't know before. He knew where to go in a way that he didn't know before. He knew something about mercy and forgiveness and gratitude for life that he didn't know before. He was humbled. He was broken. God did this. It's in the broken pieces of our lives that God shows us who he is. It's in our weakness that he showcases his strength, Paul says in Corinthians. It's when we are weak that he is strong. It's the reason why when the Apostle Paul said, God, I've got this thorn in the flesh, can you please take it away from me? Nobody knows what it actually was. And I'm glad the Bible doesn't tell us what it was, because if the Bible did tell us exactly what it was, we may go, well, that's not my problem, so this doesn't relate to me. But because he keeps it generic on purpose, all of us can relate to it. And God says, I'm not going to take that thing out of your life. Whether it was a person or an internal struggle or an addiction, nobody knows. Some physical ailment, and God said, I'm not going to take it because it keeps you dependent on me. And it gives me an opportunity to showcase my strength and my mercy. See, David has learned things about God's love and mercy and forgiveness that he could not have learned apart from failure. Richard Rohr puts it like this in a book that he wrote. He says, it's not that failure might happen. No, it will happen, and it will happen to you. Losing, failing, falling, sin, and the suffering that comes from those things is all a necessary and even good part of the human journey. In God's economy of grace, sin and failure become the base metal and raw material for redemption. When I read those sentences in the early summer of 2016, it just a glimmer of hope for me. See, David's song and his story are proof that God's intention for those who fail is not for them to stay quiet. He doesn't say, you screwed up, go sit in a corner and shut up. He doesn't say that. Now, there's a time when it's right and appropriate to go sit in a corner and shut up. Let God do his work. Sometimes I see people crash and burn, and they try to get back up too quickly. And I'm like, dude, don't. You're still, go over there. Let God do his surgical work. Let him do his deconstructing work. Let him do his killing work in your life so that he can bring you back to life new. And then you'll know when God wants you to open your mouth. But I can tell you this, that David's song and story are proof that God's intention for those who fail is not for them to stay quiet. Rather, he intends to pick them up, wash them off, and open their mouths wide so that they will speak more loudly than ever of his amazing grace. If anything, Psalm 51 proves that there is no one more qualified to speak of the significance of sin and the gladness of grace like the one who has been there and done that. Recovery places, you've heard me say this before, but recovery places have figured out that the best people to reach those who have bottomed out are those who have bottomed out themselves. You would never, for instance, find a non-alcoholic leading an AA meeting. Ever. I think the church could learn from that.